right, welcome to the November 1st, 2021 meeting of the Parks and Recreation Commission. Will the staff secretary call roll, please?
Nick Alexander.
Here.
Matthew Bridge.
Here.
Mike Esparza.
Here.
Sandra Pollock-Cushing. Here. Andre Randolph.
Here.
Regina Suchek.
Here.
Roy Stearns.
Here.
Leah Burnett.
Here.
Thank you. And let's see, will Commissioner Suchek please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
I couldn't get much closer to that flag.
Every time I've said
All right, can the secretary please read the procedures for addressing the commission tonight?
For public comment, speakers have 3 minutes under public comment to speak on issues that are not listed on the agenda and are within the city's jurisdiction. The Brown Act does not permit any action or discussion on items not listed on the agenda.
All right, seeing as we don't have a public tonight, we'll close public comment. All right, next up is, next on the agenda is the approval from the minutes from our last meeting. Do I have a motion to approve or any comments?
I don't see that on the agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Ooh, that's the second meeting I've been to without that.
Yeah, so because, technically because it's not on the agenda, the commission's not able to vote to approve those minutes, so we'll have to carry those over to the next meeting and approve this meeting's minutes and the last meeting's minutes at the next meeting.
All right, thank you, Mike. Okay, moving on then to requests and presentations. First up, 5.1, the Youth Commission applications. Kathy Barsotti.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm here tonight to provide you with some little bit of information regarding the Youth Commissioner for the Parks and Recreation Commission. The term for the Youth Commissioner is a 1-year term. Currently, Leah Burnett holds the position. However, the term ends on December 31st. So we are required to open up the position and recruit again for it, and we've done so. The position closed last Friday. Currently, we have 9 people who applied for the Parks and Rec Youth Commissioner. And just to inform you that we had 7 people apply for the Library Commission, and then we had 5 that applied for both. So of those 7, 5 applied for both. Tonight I'm here to request that the commission, we get 1 up to 2 commissioners to volunteer to sit on the interview panel. Leah gave me permission to inform you all she's unable to sit on the interview panel. Often the outgoing youth commissioner will sit on the panel. However, she has reapplied. She's eligible and has reapplied for another term with the commission, so she'll be unable to sit on the interview panel. But I'm here to request that a commissioner, at least one, participate in the interviews. We will be doing these jointly with the library board interviews, and so there's a lot. There's 16 interviews that we will, nine. I don't know how many total. I got to double check that, but we will have 14. We'll have 14 total. So it's going to be it'll be a long evening. They're about 20-25 minutes, the interviews. We will this year actually hold them over at the Parks and Recreation admin building versus last year when we did them through Teams. We'll actually do them in the facility. And there will be members of both hopefully the Parks and Rec Commission, and then also the Library Board, and then staff from both Parks and Rec and from libraries.
And Kathy, did you have a date?
Yes, we have scheduled the interviews for next Tuesday, which is November 9th.
9th. Okay. At what time?
Well, I need to reach out to everybody to make sure that their applications is still valid. And so if so, we're trying to get started with the interview panel meeting at 3 o'clock. We'll probably start the first interview at 3:25, 3:30, and we will just go back to back to back until we're done. So if in fact everyone is still interested, because some of them applied for not only Parks and Rec and or libraries, they also applied for another, maybe like Transportation Commission or Grants Advisory Board. So they have picked some other one. So sometimes they will back out of the interview. If in fact nobody backs out, we should finish at about 7:30, and then we'll take a few minutes to sort of discuss the candidates, and then we will see who we want to take forward, both to the library board and then also to the Parks and Rec Commission, to introduce you all to who the committee selected. And then after that, that'll go, you guys will recommend that we send that to council, potentially. It'll be for a vote, and then it'll go to council in December or January. Sometimes it goes January.
Okay, thank you. Well, we'll start off. Is anyone on the commission interested in
If it's
in the interviews?
if it's a one-day deal, get it done.
Great, I've got
I'll
time.
do it.
Okay, and we could break it up into two. It'd be smaller, I know, but I just figured like, let's,
Get it done.
yeah. I think that's not a bad idea.
Okay. And
Can I just make a quick request on that? So I noticed that I've done a few years with you, and the questions that we ask, I think it might be worthy to just take a quick review of those and see if they need to be updated or reworded. As I recall, I just thought some of them were structured a little strange in the questions and might be outdated. So maybe we just take a quick review of that and see if it needs
Absolutely.
to be updated.
So whoever is offers to or gets appointed or directed to be on the interview panel, I will send out the questions. You'll both get a copy of the applications, and you'll get a list of the questions ahead of time. And I ask for any recommendations for either new questions or edits to the questions. So absolutely, we will do that. And there were some in the past. We might have cleaned that up, but I think where it was such a long question that, by the end we were all, what was the like everyone was a little lost. So we will make sure we get that out to whoever's on the interview panel.
And did you say we could have two? Because I think there might be two that are interested.
Yeah, now we can have two. Just understand that it'll be a library board member, library staff, then it'll be a Parks and Rec commission member, and myself. So we're at 4, and there's no interviewee yet. I mean, there's no applicant yet. But we can take up to 2, absolutely, if someone is interested in sitting in on this.
okay. Nick, Roy, are you
Either way, it makes no difference to me.
okay?
If you're both interested, we're happy to have both of you.
Okay, sounds good.
Want to double team it, Roy?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Mike.
I don't think you need to take any formal action, just now that we have our volunteers.
All right, so we'll appoint Nick Alexander and Roy Stearns to help with the youth commissioner interviews. Thank you.
This actually is an action item. That is an action item.
All right, do I have a motion to appoint Nick Alexander and Roy Stearns to the interview committee?
So moved.
All right,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, unanimously approved there. Okay. Next up, lost my agenda there. Next up is 5.2, the park name recommendations by Tara.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here tonight, and we are seeking Commission's approval of park names for 7 new parks. And if approved, the recommendations will be forwarded to the City Council for formal approval. For background, the park naming policy was updated and approved in June 2021. Changes included a new makeup of a subcommittee and the participants that make up the new subcommittee to ensure that we are in compliance of the Brown Act. This committee included the Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Director, the Park Planning and Development Superintendent, and each of the following would serve a 2-year term and rotate out. And that would be a Park Development Project Manager, a PRL Superintendent from the Parks Division, a PRL staff member chosen at large, and a staff member from our Development Services Department. Before I get into the recommendations, I wanted to describe the name selection process. The subcommittee shall review all names and recommend up to 3 names for each new park or facility to the Commission. The recommended names, along with the full list of submissions, which made your packet very big this year, includes the active names from the previous year. Those shall be reviewed by the Parks and Recreation Commission for consideration at a formal meeting, which is tonight. And the Parks and Recreation Commission shall recommend up to 3 names for each new park or facility to the City Council. The recommended names, along with the full list of submissions, shall be reviewed also by the City Council at their formal meeting. Family members of any potential namesakes shall be contacted by staff prior to final approval by City Council to ensure support of that recommendation. And the annual park naming process shall conclude at the City Council's final approval of such park names. Advertisement this year occurred in July through August 2021. The advertisement period was 4 weeks. The park naming subcommittee met in October 2021 to review the name submissions along with those that remain on the active list from last year. As mentioned, we have 7 parks to name this year. In some recommendations, we have provided several options, others just 1. So now for the subcommittee's recommendations. And as a protocol, what I would like to do is take each park one by one, take a pause, allow the commission to discuss, take a vote before we move on to the next one. I think it would be a little easier than trying to tackle all 7 at the end of the presentation. So for the first one, WB50, which is in our Westbrook area, it's a school park site, and the recommendation is either Solaire or Galaxy Park. The recommended name recognizes the location of the park, which is on Solaire and Solar Point drives. Some elements of the park design include educational signs about the solar system scattered throughout the perimeter loop trail, as well as the playground theming. So the subcommittee felt that it was fitting to recommend a name that furthered the theming of the park. So with that, I'll take a break and turn it back to you to discuss further.
Okay. Commission, any comments?
Just a question. Is this a design-build park, or is this built by the city?
This will be built by the city.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Any questions, comments for Andre?
None. Thank you.
Moving down. Good. Mike?
Good.
No? All right. Well, with that said, so we can either pick from the list that was provided on the summary, or we can accept the committee's suggestions and provide up to 3 names. So do I have a motion to
Mr. Chair, do you want to just quickly open and close public comment? I know we don't have anyone here.
Yes, thank you, Mike. All right, so we will open this up to public comment, and seeing as there's no one in the audience to comment, we will close comment. Thank you, Mike. All right, do we have a motion?
I'll move Solaire.
I was just going to say, a lot of the parks are a little confusing when it has a name that's like, somebody else's name, or when there's no real, like Solaire makes sense, it's going to be on Solaire.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to second, I'm for that also.
All in favor of WB 50 presenting the Solaire name to the council? So we have second. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right.
Wonderful. So now on to CO62. The recommendations are Phil Osnick, Audrey Husking, or Crimson Ridge Park. So a little bit about the name selections here. So Phil Osnick, he was a retired colonel in the U.S. Air Force, the mayor of Roseville in 1987, served on the Planning Commission from 1983 to 1987, served on the Placer County Board of Supervisors from 1990 to 1994. He was a driving force behind planning inadequate infrastructure to sustain the tremendous growth of Roseville in his role as mayor, city council member, and planning commission member. Lastly, Phil was proponent, he was also prominent, who is a proponent for many veterans in Roseville, having been affiliated with the Roseville chapter of the Veterans of Foreign Wars as president and advocating for those citizens at the state and federal levels. Audrey Husking. Many of you on this commission know Audrey as she served side by side with you. What you may not know or have realized that Audrey served on the Parks and Recreation Commission. Now, these are a lot of dates, so hold on. 1997 to 1978. She was reappointed in 1978 and again in 1980, 1984, 1998 to 2001, and 2013 to 2016. Audrey also served on the Transportation Commission in 1974 through 1978 and the Planning Commission in 1987 to 98, 2001 to 2004, 2004 to 2008, and 2008 to 2012. Audrey's active and dedicated service to the Roseville community spans 46 years. Her work has touched all segments of the population in Roseville, and Roseville would not be the city that it is today without her devotion to good planning and a vibrant park system. The last suggested name is Crimson Ridge, and Crimson Ridge is the road the park is located on. So with that, I'll turn back over to you for further discussion.
Okay, thank you. This time we'll start with Leah. Any comments?
Not at this moment.
Okay, Regina?
Can you remind me about where this is? I mean, Crimson Ridge isn't, it's not geographically putting a pin in the map. I can't remember exactly where this one is located.
Yeah, it's in the Campus Oaks development. It's it's the long, narrow
Gotcha.
park.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Roy?
No.
Oh, Mike?
Are we just trying to select from these three options, or are we also looking at the broader list as well for park names for this specific park?
You absolutely can suggest another name. The subcommittee, the three names are the ones that the subcommittee
narrowed down from
recommended.
subcommittee?
Yep.
Oh, okay, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, you can, we can take the three that have been provided and move them on, or we can take some of them, we can add to the list from the other list that's been provided, and then move up to three, up to council.
Yeah, up to three. So if you wanted to substitute another name, then one would go off this recommendation.
That's kind of a hard decision to pick a name. It almost, we have a lot of parks where we've named after people, which is great, but I think that in the last park naming meeting I was in, we thought, well, let's try to get away from people for a short period of time and look at some other sort of names that categorize the park. So that was part of the discussion. I wasn't the one who coined that idea, but that was just something that was brought up, so I thought I'd mention it.
I would say the naming convention is interesting. Even on soccer games, you've got Bob Doyle Park, and then you've got Nichols Park at Chilton Middle School on Bob Doyle Drive. It's there's lots of confusion there. So I think naming it by location seems like a nice way to go. But Sandra, any comments?
I have so many mix-ups with people between Mahan and Mahaney, so that's kind of usually that we constantly always end up at different parks. So I'm all for the geographical location making the most sense, but these people have contributed so much, it's hard to say.
Yeah, I look at this and Tara is mean because these are two great options as far as the individuals. I look at the naming. Yes, I understand geographic and naming for convenience, but I also look at respecting those that laid down a great foundation for this community, as they both have. Yeah, so for my clarity, because I'm slow today, right? We're looking for just one tied to this, to this particular, the CO62?
Yeah, at CO62, there's three names presented, so you can choose to forward all three that were suggested, or you can share a preference as a commission. Keep in mind, further down in the presentation, there is another
Same thing.
park that has a very similar, has both Mr. Osnick and Ms.
Very
Husky
good.
on that.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Are you able to do, like, say, like, Phil Osnick at Crimson Ridge, something like, you know, kind of.
We've actually done something similar to that. There was a park, and I can't remember the name of it because there's so many different names, but we chose to name it kind of a generic name
Yeah,
with
Jack
like a.
Wallace Park at Crest Haven.
That's, yeah.
And I thought that was kind of a neat idea because it still honors the person, but
You know where it is.
you know where it
Yeah.
is, yeah. Like if there's a square or a meeting place within the park, I think that was the dedication, if I recall, for one of those specific parks.
Nella Lucan at the Village Center
Yes.
was another one.
Good.
So
Yeah,
those are
you're
the two that we have. You know, you certainly can do that. I would just be careful because it still gets a little long and people, some people like it Jack Wallace Park, and then some people still call it Crest Haven. So just be aware that could happen.
I would like to make the case for Audrey Husking. I think if you totaled up those years, they got to be over 30.
40-something, 46.
Yeah, because I came to Roseville 31 years ago, and as a development representative, and she was on the planning commission. Very helpful to me, you know, learning the way. So, you know, I would strongly advocate that, you know, we name this park in honor of Audrey Husking for her tireless efforts. I mean, those are two commissions that you don't get paid for. I mean, she did all that work. And as a developer, you'd call her. She'd always meet with you. She'd always make time to listen to you. Now, sometimes she might not agree with you, but she always made time to listen to you. And I think for those tireless efforts, she deserves to have this park named in her honor.
Yeah, I agree.
What's the difference between the two parks that her name is attached to? Is one more suiting than the other?
Well, CO62 is in Campus Hooks, and it's the smaller of the two linear parks. The other one
So they're both
is,
the linear parks?
yeah, the other one is a neighborhood park. It's about 1.5 acres. Both of them are pretty small so far as acreage. One is, CO62 might be closer to 2 acres. W50D is the neighborhood park that is about 1.5 acres in West Roseville.
You know, and conceivably, we could take one for Audrey Husking and then the other one for Osnick.
Right.
Tara?
That would 100% be my preference.
Because, you know, and I've known Phil that long. He recently passed away. But he was definitely an advocate for veterans,
Yeah,
you know, definitely an advocate for veterans.
for his service, not
Yeah.
only at the
Can I
national
ask,
stage, but local.
did Audrey, or was she on planning for either one of the approvals of these two parks? I can't remember if she sat through the approvals, and that's the only thing that I would suggest is
No.
one of her last approvals.
Yeah, no, because we
This all happened
presented
after.
those master plans during COVID.
It's a great question, though, Regina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other, okay, Roy?
Well, I'm looking at this and I hear what people are saying. I think Audrey has performed valiantly down through the years and deserves recognition. I see that other WD-50 has her name on it also as a possibility. I look at Crimson Ridge and I say, that's a pretty catchy title for a park, for an area. So maybe I would lean that direction and look at Audrey for that other park. Phil could still come back for a future occasion, could he not?
He would remain active, his name would remain active for another year.
Okay. Well, that's my
And as a
thought.
reminder, we could always present 2 or 3 names up to council, and they would make a decision. So,
For the WD-40, is it park?
It's,
50.
It's like that's an oil.
yeah,
I don't know.
W50D.
I'm like, a car for, like, my oil for my car. I'm not gonna lie. No idea what car oil truly is. W50D.
W50D.
There we go.
There you go.
It was wrong order. Same thing. Is that park, does it have a Crimson Ridge-esque title as well?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was going to mention that we might as well talk about 50D right now. The recommendation, it's a neighborhood park in the West Roseville area, as I just mentioned. And, of course, Audrey's name, as well as Phil Osnick's name, was suggested along with a street name, and it's on Mount Evans. So Mount Evans is the third suggestion for W50D.
I'm just curious if anyone knows which park would be maybe closer in proximity to where Audrey lives or grew up, if that's...
It would be Crimson Ridge. Audrey is one of my neighbors. She lives on over by Ike Intermediate.
Oh.
So far enough away, but I thought I'd bring it up just in case it was close proximity.
Both of them are a ways away from where she lives.
Okay.
I think I'm like you. I like that the Crimson Ridge is a pretty catchy name for a park, and it's probably one that's easy to remember too. So I like the idea of that for the CO62 and Audrey for maybe the W50D, and having Phil be a contender for the next batch.
Okay. Well, how about we can open it up to public comment, and then we can start making motions. It sounds like we're at a point there. So we'll open this up to public comment, and seeing as there's no public still, close that. So would Commissioner like to make a motion then for the name?
I'll take a stab at it. We're going to take two parks at the same time, okay? I would move that we name CO62 Crimson Ridge Park, and then name W-50D to recognize and honor Audrey Husking's service to the community.
Thank you. Any second or another motion? Second? Okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any opposed?
I'm going to go opposed for only one reason. I feel that both these parks should honor the names of both Audrey and one to honor Mr. Osnick. But so that's my no is for the Crimson Ridge, but not for the naming of Audrey. That I'm in full support of. So just noted for the record.
Okay, and I mean, keep in mind, we can also add Phil Osnick to one of the other park names as we move on.
Yeah, absolutely. I just make that no for the motion that's on the floor now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we're moving forward so we've named CO62 as Crimson Ridge and W50D as Audrey Husking.
All right,
we'll move
on
on.
to the next one. Hopefully this one's easier. CO64/HP. It's the larger of the two linear parks. It functions as a citywide park, and it is in the Campus Oaks area as well. It's between the development and the former HP site. And the recommendation is Campus Oaks Park. Campus Oaks, obviously, is the development of the park. It's located, which the park is located, and of course, it's the largest in the entire development. So the subcommittee recommended Campus Oaks Park for CO62.
Okay.
CO64.
All right.
Were there any recommendations from the public on CO64?
Well, the submissions were not attached to a park.
They're blanket, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Just clarification on this specific park. I know that we probably discussed it in a couple months ago meeting. As I recall, it's a really long park that's in between HP and that development.
Correct.
And it had a lot of different amenities to it, right?
Yes.
Almost like a super happy fun time.
That name.
So that's kind of where I was leading with that.
Tara, can you remind me on, actually, I could look at it here. I know the applicants have an option for identifying particular park types or park locations. Did the recommendation for, or the application for Phil's name, was it related to sports or an area of the town or anything?
Not that I recall that it was specific.
Okay. I guess where I was going was to Andre's or Commissioner Randolph's point is, is this one where we might want to bring Phil Osnick's name back into the mix?
I mean, can Phil Osnick also be a recommendation for F94 or JM50 in theory? We can, because it is on the list, right? So we can revisit that for another park right here.
Yes, so you can
Okay.
revisit that for that.
I mean, I don't know who
when we
the
get there.
F94, I'd like to hear who Kay Sakamoto is.
CO 64 acts, to your point, it has a lot of different amenities included. And one of the reasons for this recommendation is with a citywide park, for most of them, we try to, get a more recognizable name that goes along with it. So
Right.
that was why Campus Oaks Park was the recommendation, but you certainly can add another recommendation if you so chose to.
I think we jumped around, but Andre, did you have any comments on this one?
No, sir, thank you.
Sandra?
No, not for this one. I think it makes sense.
Okay. Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going with Super Happy Fun Time Park.
That's actually a pretty good one. I'm a fan of the name.
Second, super happy fun time.
We could present two to
Yeah,
council. Super happy
absolutely.
fun time.
All right. Regina, did you have anything else?
No, I don't.
Okay. And Leah?
Except super happy fun time.
All right, so we'll open this up to public comment and close that as we still don't have an audience. So, would someone like to make a motion on the naming for CO64?
Yeah, I'm getting pointed at by Roy, so he really wants, and I think we're partnering on this one. I'm going to give you equal
Blame?
equal blame or however you want to call it. We're going to go Super Happy Fun Time Park for CO64 HP.
What's the staff doing looking at us like that?
They're going to throw
We're just
something
going to
at
see
you
if we can
both.
get away with it. That's what we're going to try to do.
Maybe council will be in a fun mood and they'll just push it through.
Or we may get a letter.
All right, do I have a second or another motion?
Oh, I'll second the motion.
Well, for one or two, are we doing?
Right, that motion is for the singular of Super Happy Fun Time.
I guess I'll add Campus Oaks Parks also if some people agree to present two to council.
So we have a first motion for either Campus Oaks or Super Happy Fun Time then.
Yeah, that would be my opinion.
I will,
As we get laughed out the door.
I will second the Campus
redo
Oaks
the
Park motion on the table.
I'll leave it.
So anyway, I got two motions on the table here.
So
Guess so.
Yeah,
Act on one.
Let's take those in
Take
order.
one
Why don't you take a vote on the first motion, and then take a vote on the second motion after.
So vote on the first motion is with the Super Happy Fun Time naming. So all in favor on that one.
I think you better take a roll
Yeah,
call.
Roll call, okay.
there it is.
All right,
You're saying only present that name.
correct.
Oh, only?
Yeah, so we'll do roll call vote, and is that the secretary or myself?
Okay, did you, Commissioner Burnett, did you want to withdraw the second? Because did you understand that the first motion was for Super Happy Fun Time Park only?
Yes, then I will withdraw. I want to send both to council. Would prefer both.
Okay, so then we should call to see if there is another
there's a
second to
second.
that
Okay. Do we
first
have
motion by Commissioner Esparza.
Okay, do we have another second to the loan name of Super Happy Fun Time?
Second, just to get it to a vote.
Okay. And so
Then the secretary would call the roll
Okay.
for each commissioner to see what their vote is on that motion.
All right, Commissioner Alexander?
I'm sorry, I cannot support Super Happy Fun Time neighborhood. I'm just sorry, can't do it.
Nick, you're not a fun-time guy.
It's not.
Not seeing the joy.
Commissioner Bridge?
While I enjoy the name, I will vote nay on this one and would rather present both names.
Mike Esparza?
I'm going super happy fun time.
Sandra Polk?
I'd rather present both to council and hope that they.
So okay. So let's
should-
back up. So we need
Yeah, both.
just a yes or a no.
It's a yeah,
Okay,
up or
let's,
down vote.
can we just restart that? So I think Commissioner Alexander was no.
Yes.
Right, moving to
Correct.
Commissioner Esparza
Correct.
was yes.
No?
Matt was
Okay,
no.
okay.
And Sandra, you're no.
No, yeah.
Okay.
And Regina would be next.
Regina?
No.
Suchek? Thank you. Roy Stearns?
No, yes.
Okay. And Leah Burnett?
Did you vote no?
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
so we had,
For the record, Commissioner Randolph said no.
There we go.
oh, did we missed Randolph? Okay. I thought we got Andre. That motion did not pass, and we will move on to the second motion now.
Yes, which maybe let's remind the commissioners what that was.
Okay, so the second motion is to move forward with both the Campus Oaks Park and the Super Happy Fun Time name and present both names to council. And do we want to do a roll call vote on this one as well?
Well, we need a first and second.
I think didn't we have a first
Yeah,
and
we
a
have a
second
first
on
and
that?
second on this one.
Okay,
Oh,
so
yeah.
let's go to a roll call vote on that motion.
We have that recorded.
Okay. Nick Alexander?
No, because I would support Campus Oaks Park, but not Super Happy Fun Time. I'm sorry.
Matthew Bridge?
Yes.
Mike Esparza?
Yes.
Sandra?
Yes.
Andre?
No.
Regina?
No.
Roy?
Yes.
Tiebreaker.
Yes.
I have 5 yeses, 3 nos.
All right, so motion passes. Next up.
Right.
I thought that one was going to be an easy one. We have several more to go, okay? So our next one is F51, which is the school park site. It is in the Fitment Farm area, and the recommendation for this site is Riego Creek Park. This park is located next to Riego Creek Elementary School. So the logic of presenting this name is because of the location as well. So I'll turn back to you for further discussion.
Okay, comments. We'll start with Leah this time.
I don't have a comment at this exact moment.
Regina?
No comment.
No comment.
Nope. Sandra?
No comment.
I think this is one case where the geographic location coincides with the park, so I think, I would be in favor of that.
Okay, and no names, didn't want to name any or add any names from the list? Okay, so we'll open this up to public comment and close it again. And do we have a motion?
I'll motion.
For what?
Oh, for Riego Creek Park.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you. So motion for Riego Creek Park.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we've got unanimous on that one. And back to Tara.
All right, 2 more to go. The next park is F94, a pocket park in the Fitment Farm area as well. And the recommendation is Kei Sakamoto Park. A little bit about Kei. Kei serves the Roseville community as a community services officer from 2007 until his death in July 2020. For most of that time, Kay served in a traffic unit where he responded to thousands of collision scenes, bringing order and comfort to those affected. Kay performed his job tirelessly and without complaint. He was appreciated by his coworkers for his work ethic, wit, and positive attitude. The citizens of Roseville appreciated him because he was calm, competent, and provided them with excellent customer service. Kay suffered a fatal stroke while on duty. It was a horrible blow to those who loved him. However, his final act of kindness was donating his organs and tissues to those in desperate need. So the recommendation for F94 Pocket Park is Kay Sakamoto Park. So I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you. Nick, any comments?
No comments other than if we want to stick Osnick in there stick Phil Osnick's name in there as another alternative and send them both to council.
Okay.
No, that's a good one. No comment from me.
Okay. Sandra?
I was going to say the same thing.
I would agree with Nick, both names.
Okay.
Is F94 near a trail? That was one of the little stipulations or the recommendations on the application or the requests on the application?
They're connected by paseos, not necessarily an open space trail.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay.
I just have a quick comment. I'm wondering if it would be an option to just shorten it just to Sakamoto Park, or is it the way it's presented? Is that just the way it would go?
Well, generally, we name it after their full name, and then most of the time, people will call it Sakamoto Park or
I get it.
Wallace Park, so Crab Park.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll open this up to public comment and close. We still don't have an audience. And so do I have a motion for the name on F94?
I'll take a stab at this. I move that we present two names to the council for the naming of F94 Pocket Park, both Kay Sakamoto and Phil Osnick.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second or another motion?
Second.
Okay. All in favor of presenting both Kay Sakamoto and Phil Osnick to council for F94?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Got unanimous on that one.
All right, one last one. JM50 School Park. This is in the new Sierra Vista area off of Upland Drive.
Yeah, I know the neighborhood.
You're slightly familiar, right, Nick? The recommendations for this park are either John Bayuk or Upland Park. A little bit about John Bayuk. John was a member of the Roseville City Council, serving multiple terms from 1984 to 1991. This was at a strategic time when Roseville's development transitioned from a small railroad town that it's always been known to a desirable family-oriented and well-planned city that it is today. John also served as a member of the Bulljohn Cooking or Kitchen Crew, which was a group of civic-minded men who cooked thousands of dinners for community events and charities free of charge. John volunteered at community fundraisers, one of which was to raise funds for the police department to bring SWAT service to Roseville. John loved giving to the residents of Roseville through all of his community efforts. John took pride in our Roseville community. The second name recommendation is Upland. Obviously, it's a street name that the park is located on. So for this JM50, it's a school park site, either John Bayuk or Upland Park.
Okay, thank you. Nick?
Well, I knew John Bayou. John was on the cusp of development here in Roseville. A forerunner of the specific planning process. He was a major force in the Southeast Roseville specific plan, and the one I was involved with was the Northeast Roseville specific plan. Again, same thing. One of the council members when I got here was very helpful to me. He was like my political consultant. He don't do this, do that. A very good man. He recruited me for the Bulljohn Cooking Crew, he was also involved with the Tommy Apostolos Fund. And I think I think in your packet, you'll see how many people in the community would support the naming of this park. Do you have a number for me, Tara?
I don't have a number, but there are
I know there's
lots.
a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot. And he was, born and raised in Roseville, and sadly, he died tragically in a head-on collision in Seattle, Washington, on Interstate 5. So, but I think again, was very instrumental in the specific planning process, which I think without the specific planning process, Roseville wouldn't be what it is today. If with regard to comprehensive planning, whereas everything is in one package, the zoning, the development agreement, the way to finance it, and more importantly, the upkeep with regard to, at the time, landscape and lighting districts to make sure that the corridors were always well maintained. If you can go out of state and you can see in some developments that I visited where it was a nice idea to put the landscape corridor in, but there was never a mechanism to maintain it, and then over time they've just deteriorated. And I recall that he was very a stickler on making sure that we were able to maintain the landscape corridors in the southeast plan and in the northeast plan. The southeast plan was a little different because it was a owners association, but the northeast plan, it was all done through landscape and lighting districts. So anyway, I would strongly support naming JM 50 in the memory of John Bayou.
Thank you.
No comment.
Go ahead, Senator.
I'd kind of echo what Nick just said. It's impressive. I didn't know the man, but reading through the 40-some pages of the application, it was pretty impressive. Campaign to get his name on one of these parks, and a very long list of community services in various capacities. So I think it's a very good option.
I agree that if there's 40-some pages of people wanting this name, we should really dedicate it in honor of him.
Okay, we will open this up to public comment and close. And now, do we have a motion?
Guess you're looking to me to do that, I guess.
If you'd like.
I would move that we name JM 50 School Park in the memory of John Bayou and in recognition of his service to the city of Roseville.
I'll second.
All right. Then all in favor of JM 50 being presented as John Bayou Park?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Got that one unanimously.
That concludes my presentation for tonight.
Thank you, Tara.
Thank you for your feedback and your comments.
Anytime.
All right, and our next item is item, where are we? 5.3, the joint use agreements by Tara and Mike.
Well, good evening again. This presentation is to provide an overview about the joint use agreements between the city and our local school districts. Over the past year, we have presented a number of school park master plans, and at a previous commission meeting, it was requested that we share an overview of our joint use agreements with the commission. Well, I will be kicking off the presentation, and I will hand it over to Mike Christensen to finish the presentation. Thereafter, all of us here on the staff table are available to answer any questions or comments you might have. So our approach is to locate larger neighborhood parks adjacent to schools whenever possible. This allows us to develop designs as a campus rather than two individual sites. After all, the students and the families who attend these schools are also the same families who use these parks. By sizing these larger parks next to schools, we can develop some more active, organized fields and amenities in these locations and keep the smaller neighborhood parks for more informal or self-directed play. The campus approach allows for shared indoor and outdoor uses. The school's multi-use rooms are used for recreation programs and sports leagues, and the park's outdoor spaces were used to offset school needs for physical education and more. This created a synergy where the school district and the city could stretch our individual department dollars while expanding recreational opportunities. So some examples include share or expanded parking. The school benefits from more parking for events such as back to school night or open house and more. And the park benefits from more parking for park users on evenings, weekends, and school breaks. Basketball is another typical item that's typically built on school sites. So rather than the park building more basketball courts, we could build other amenities such as baseball or other organized fields that could be used for physical education through the school program. Enlarged indoor spaces. An example is a partnership that the city had with Cooley Middle School, where it was enlarged with contribution to the city so that it not only served the school's needs, but also accommodated indoor programming needs for city parks and recreation programs. Lastly, many of our older joint use sites allowed for shared maintenance. The city would maintain the outdoor fields or grass areas, and the school would maintain the indoor multi-use or gymnasium spaces. All of these joint uses were memorialized in separate agreements spanning over 30 years. So with time, things changed. Due to many concerns about security on school campuses, the school district began to erect fences around the schools and along common school and park property lines, which then enclosed the school or separated the campus type feel. More and more private groups began to use the indoor spaces at the schools, thus limiting available time for city use. And some of those privates are, sometimes it's private travel sports, clubs, boosters, scouts, and the like. And also the cost of maintenance on all sides, on the school side as well as the park side, or the city side, continued to increase and began to create some imbalances in relation to the use. With this, I will turn it over to Mike.
So as Tara mentioned, the city and the school districts have been utilizing joint use agreements for many years, but they were always specific to particular school and park sites, right? So the result of that is we had dozens of these joint use agreements, and they all had, similar but different terms and conditions, different expiration dates and things like that. So when we started looking at these agreements due to some of the recent issues that Tara was discussing, we discovered that some of the joint use agreements had actually expired. In some cases, the practices of what was going on at those particular sites was not necessarily consistent with what was in the agreements. And so we thought the best approach would be to negotiate new master joint use agreements with each of the districts that would apply to all of the school and park sites. So the first master joint use agreement was with the Roseville City School District, and that was completed in 2017. And then we approached the Roseville Joint Union High School District shortly after that and started negotiations on a new master joint use agreement with them. And we actually used the Roseville City School District joint use agreement as a template for the high school agreement. So some of the key provisions that apply to both of the agreements is the termination of all prior joint use agreements, right, starting anew with new master agreements. The only exception to that would be the Mahaney Park and Wood Creek High School joint use agreement. That agreement was unique because the district actually helped fund the construction of Mahaney Park and the aquatics complex, so there were some specific provisions that applied to that site that the district wanted to keep alive in its own separate agreement. So basically, the main term would be that the city has first priority after the district for use of their gyms, theaters, multi-purpose rooms, fields, parking lots, etc., after school and on weekends and during summer break. And then in exchange for that, the district is granted use of city fields, pools, hard courts, restrooms, etc. There's provisions in both of the agreements that talk about how we are to schedule activities and events coordinate that with the district to make sure that we avoid any scheduling conflicts. And there's provisions that talk about sharing costs for maintenance, repair, and capital improvements. And so we generally calculate that by how much each party uses that particular site, and they pay their fair share for that use. So as far as when these agreements, how long they're valid, so the Roseville City School District it's a 5-year agreement. It's set to expire in June of next year, and we do have plans to renew that with the district, so we'll be talking to them early next year about doing an amendment to that agreement to extend it for another term. And the high school district joint use agreement is good through 2024, and that agreement has 3 optional 5-year renewals built into it. And so at this point, we anticipate that we will be extending for another term once that agreement expires. And so with that, this is an information item only, but Tara and I and the group are here to stand for any questions and comments.
I have a quick question. For sports clubs that used a field, from what I understood, it sounded like the school district has priority and then the city has second choice, basically. Would a city club like Roseville Youth Soccer be part of the city in that regard, or would they be a separate entity in themselves?
I'll take that one. Roseville Youth Soccer is part of the Youth Sports Coalition, and so when we talk about allocations, if in fact we needed a school site, so let's say, for example, normally they play, let's say, at Maidu, and because we're doing construction at Maidu, we would definitely try to take care of them and put them somewhere, and sometimes that could be at a school. Generally, though, that's not how we do it. So that would just be, we would not allocate elementary schools generally along as far as for games and things like that. Now we do our other parks, so some of our neighborhood parks and such we will allocate out to the Youth Sports Coalition, and then sometimes we do it at the elementary schools, but not always.
So I'm just trying to establish if there's a pecking order of but
the deal is that Youth Sports Coalition cannot go directly to the school district and go, hey, we're part of the Youth Sports Coalition, and this would be really for us to allocate. So when we decide when they provide us with their numbers, Youth Sports the members of it, we look through and go, okay, where can these guys go? And then we will place them, we'll provide them slots at each of those locations. But they are not on their own able to go to a school and go, hey, we're part of the Youth Sports Coalition, we want additional time, or we want to park, closer to this neighborhood. They will do that through us. And so we will, when needed, we will use those parks after schools and on the weekends and such.
Okay. Questions, comments?
Yeah, just one question. One of my previous stints on the commission, there was an issue with regard to access. Particularly when the security issue for schools came up. In these documents, in these agreements, do we have hours of operation and access times?
Sure, yeah, we do. So generally, I don't remember the exact hours of operation, but it does say that if there are gates that lock up a site, that they are to be open between certain times. And that was one of the reasons why we approached initially the elementary school district, because I believe that you see a lot of new fencing around schools. I think that there were some school bonds that were available for funding for that. So a lot of schools took advantage of that, started doing that. And that was one of the reasons that we approached the elementary school district initially, was to make sure that we had access for community recreation for everybody after hours.
Okay, yeah. I'm satisfied with that.
So for some of the leagues that may not be tied to our Youth Sports Coalition, that kind of thing, which comes to mind, and you guys know me, like youth football. As it stands now, they're their own entities, and typically they would work with the school district to allocate space. With this partnership and having two avenues, being the high school being one and the city being another, could they discuss the use of those fields and off hours through the city as another option? And is there any negotiated pricing on how they allocate the times for those fields?
Okay, I'm confused on your question. So if they're not part of any youth sports coalition or a program that the city runs,
right.
your question is, can they like
Just as
go
a- as
through
an
us to
outside-
get to the school district? to
Right,
use
so-
those? No, we wouldn't
Okay.
do that. No.
So that, and I just want to make that clear, this isn't just one of those just ask out there, right? Because at times there were some questions about negotiating and working with the school districts, that kind of thing. So that's why that question comes into play. So is there an avenue to go through the city with what was just said? And you're saying, no, you would continue to do that negotiation for use, for after-hour use of those facilities that would remain working through the school district?
Correct.
Okay. It would be akin to, let's just say, a youth lacrosse club that wanted to use the
Right.
Mahaney indoor facility, and they would work through the city to do it, or they would want to use the school gym. They may not be tied to like how
Right.
our soccer, but that's why I'm asking.
Right, and so that happens quite often, actually, where groups
Right.
come to us and they want either field or gym space. If we can accommodate that, then they will be treated, though, as a rental.
Yes.
So we would rent the facilities. If we're unable to do that, then we would recommend they go directly to the schools. We do not sublease the fields at the schools. Like, if we're not using them, but then you can use them for us, that wouldn't be our decision. That would be the school's decision.
Okay.
Just a clarification, over in my neighborhood, we have Sargent Elementary School, and the fences went up around that school about the time we were all worried about school security, and we agreed with that. The fence went up around the school property, but there's a small neighborhood park right next to it that is not included in that fence. But mostly I see the giant field that's within the school fencing unused. It looks like a big soccer field. You could probably put 2 soccer fields there. If a soccer group wanted to use that, do they go to the city or to the school? Or can they use it at all? Sargent Elementary.
Yeah, they would go to the school district. They wouldn't come to us.
But it would be open for use after school hours if somebody wanted to do that.
Yeah, if we're not using it, so if the city is not using it during the after school time for our programs and or part of our coalition agreements or whatever, then they would go. It would be open for the public at the time, but that means that it would go to the school to make sure that there's nobody else using it. Does that make sense? Because they might. Like Tara had mentioned, a few groups that actually use, like Scouts, although they probably don't need a field, but I can't remember the rest of them. But like if somebody else wanted to use it, that we get first priority. The City of Roseville programs get first priority, and then they have their own set of priorities of who gets to use it after the city. Does that make sense?
Is the city using it for any of its programs? Do you recall?
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Okay. Trying to remember my questions now. So we have nothing with Dry Creek on those schools?
We do have a joint use agreement with Dry Creek.
Okay.
We just have not updated it for a master joint use agreement.
Okay. And then with regards to the access to the security fencing, is it, I believe it was the park staff who was doing?
Partially. So
okay.
During the week, the janitorial staff at the school will lock and unlock the gates. And then on weekends or school breaks, then the city staff will do so.
Okay. I would suggest better signage on at those gates as far as either the rules and policies on using the site, because I know there's lots of dogs that we, and I know that was a complaint at the local school. But then also on like hours of access and people not understanding that well, school's out, but Adventure Club is still there, so the gates are still locked and those types of things. But I think better signage and which gates are going to be open would be nice. I think.
Definitely agree. I know as like a kid and I have friends, they would just like, you'd be like, oh, is it open? And you just kind of jiggle the door and see, and it's kind of the lottery if you win. So just having better signage so kids know when to go play, because there's definitely, I know some friends who would just kind of slip under the gate, and that is not okay. So just knowing when they can actually go, I think would really help them.
Yeah, and keep in mind that not all school sites within the Roseville City School District have that agreement of opening gates or not. So it's specific sites that occurs. So to your point, better signage could help with that.
Okay, and I think that's all I had. So thank you. All right. We will move on then to the board and commissioner staff reports. And staff, do you have any updates for the commission?
I do. I just have a few things. So before the meeting started, this packet was placed in front of each of the commissioners' area. And I just want to touch on what is included in this. So it's the project status report. So if you have any questions, Tara's here for you for that. And then our Parks, Recreation, Libraries are indicators. So sort of information about how the department performed in attendance and information that's important. And this will be for September of this year and then comparing this year to last year. And then on the last page is upcoming events. So you can take a look at that. And I just wanted to kind of update the commission on a couple of things. So a few months ago, or a month ago, I don't even remember how long it was, I came to you and talked about the city's initiative, Be Well Roseville, and we did a kickoff in October, and we decided prior to the kickoff, we did 5 fitness in the park events, and what we have learned is that we really have hit something there with fitness in the park, that we got a lot of feedback from the community regarding enjoying the fact that they don't have to go into a facility to work out. And it's not about going into the facility so much if you're already a member, but for new people, they don't want to be the new person walking in. And so when you're at a park and you can just join in, it was very well received. So we are going to continue these fitness in the parks. We're going to do them once a month. We're going to do one this month, and then we'll take a few months off for the cold weather, and then we'll come back again when it warms up a little bit. And so the idea really is to, engage new people in some different types of fitness activities, and it's turned out to be really popular. There's also other things that we're looking to do. So there's a calendar of events that'll be on the website now that'll have each month of things that we will be providing or just informing people of that we already are doing that fits under the Be Well Roseville, and that people can go back and get those wristbands. I think I shared that with you all, that, if you get a green one, then that means that you the blue one is Be Active. Then the green one will be Eat Healthy, and then Feel Renewed is the hot pink one. So, and so we're encouraging the community to get involved with that, and it'll continue to keep growing. And then along the lines of some of the fitness things that are going on within the city, over at Maidu, between Maidu Community Center and Maidu Library, there's a new fitness court outdoors. I don't know if anyone's driven by that, but there will be an outdoor fitness court that we have just installed. And on Saturday, this upcoming Saturday, November, is it the 4th?
6th.
The 6th, it is. Okay, I wrote 6th, but I was thinking, from 10 to 11 a.m., there'll be a ribbon cutting. So if you're interested, please come out and take a look at the equipment. We'll have staff demonstrating it. And if you want to learn, they're happy to walk you through it. So, but it's 60 minutes and then you're out. Like, that's it. No pressure to stay out there for hours and hours working out. In addition to that, just some updates regarding the sports center. So I think we shared with you that we have a new gym floor. We redid the gym floor. Did we share that with you already? Well, it's been redone. It's beautiful. So cool. It had been a while so that floor has been redone. Plus we have new bleachers in there as well. So if you ever have time to swing by the sports center and take a look, because you can look at that. In addition to, we have repurposed the climbing wall area. So we started to realize that really the novelty of the climbing wall had sort of faded, and we just weren't getting a lot of people interested in it. So one of our staff actually had a great idea to sort of gut it out, clean it out, and repurpose it for TRX equipment. So if you're familiar with TRX, it's really about fitness with these bands that, you pull on, you use your body weight to get into better shape. So with that, we've sort of revamped our personal training program as well, so that we are now in the process of hiring new personal trainers that can both help with that, but also in the fitness room for anyone that's trying to meet or reach a new fitness goal. Now we're bringing on more personal trainers. So we really have sort of taken this idea of Be Well Roseville, and we're trying to sort of blow it up in a good way and really provide different types of opportunities for people to be well, to be better, be healthier, or just maintain their health. So just that for an update for you. Another bit of information I wanted to share with you. Did you want to say something, Jill? Okay. I wanted to share with you all is regarding our 50 and Better program. So we have really tried to do some focus on some of our older adult programming. And the Senior Commission actually did a workshop a month ago, and they're going to approve their goals overall. But one of the things that they were interested is really about kind of getting an opportunity for older adults to get together for like a wellness fair or something. So now we have decided to combine our Be Well Roseville initiative and then sort of all the efforts that we're doing with the older adults. And we're doing an event in April that will be called, instead of Be Well Roseville, it will be called Age Well Roseville. And we're looking to do this as a bit of a sort of a conference type thing. We're calling it the Be Well or Age Well Roseville Summit. It won't be as serious as a conference. However, we are inviting people, and we're going to have workshops and information that fit under all three of the categories of Be Well Roseville. So be healthy, eat. Okay, wait, I just forgot them now. Be active, eat healthy, and feel renewed. You think those would roll off my tongue by now, but no. So that will be in April. We'll come back with a little bit more information, but just to inform you all that that'll be happening. And we'll be in full-fledged programming with our older adults. We're bringing after COVID, bringing it all back and opening up the front desk and everything January of 2022, so at the beginning of next year. And so even though we have some light programming right now, we're just still trying to, be safe and keep our community safe. So we're hoping in January we'll be able to start to open things up a little bit more for them. And then I just want to report back on the special events, kind of swinging back to that. So this is our big time of year in Roseville for our special events. So we had Tequila Mockingbird in the library, and so I just wanted to share that we had 200 people purchase tickets for that. So that was very successful. I don't know if, Matt, you wanted to share some information on Tequila Mockingbird?
It was great having it that outdoor space. I know it's not finished yet. We were hoping it would have been, but had a lot of comments on that space and enjoying having it be outside. So I think that space will have a lot of potential for that size of event. But tremendously successful for the library. We were able to raise about $10,000 that'll go towards summer programming. So
yeah, perfect. Yeah, and so I know that we in the library, we appreciate all the efforts of the Friends of the Library, definitely.
Yeah, and the staff was a tremendous help, helping move the tables and the fencing, and they put in a lot of effort.
Yeah,
so thank you.
Great, thank you. And then we are rolling up into the holiday season. So on Thanksgiving Day, we have the turkey trot. And so if you have not registered yet, you still can. And so that's a great way to start Thanksgiving morning, is with a 5 or 10K, or just come out and be positive and cheer people on. You can do that as well. And then in December, we are starting all of our downtown holiday celebration stuff. So it's on your flyer. But for anybody at home, you can get on the city's website and look up all of the events. We have Tree Grove on December 1st from 6 to 7:30. On the 2nd, we'll have the tree lighting. That's actually Thursday. The tree lighting will be from 6 to 8 p.m. And then the North Pole Tavern will be on Friday on December 3rd from 6 to 8 p.m. That's all down here at the Vernon Street Town Square. And then we have Breakfast with Santa. Unfortunately, both of those schedules or sessions are sold out. And then the Grinchmas Stroll from 5 to 8 p.m. on the 10th. And rumor has it that Santa's coming to Roseville again. So rumor has it that neighborhood Santa is back with, a ton of excitement. It'll start on the week of December 7th. It's the 7th, 8th, and 9th, and then the following Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so the 14th, 15th, and 16th. So you can get on the city's website and type in your address. It went live as of November 1st. Type in your address. You can see what night Santa will be coming by your neighborhood and at what time, so you can see what streets are closest to you, and it'll let you know exactly where you should be to see the jolly old elf himself. All right, and that's all I have.
Okay, Jill?
Yes, I just have a couple things as well. And first of all, I must introduce you tonight to Christina McKee. If you've not already met Christina, she is the new administrative assistant for the Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Department. Will be joining us for all of these meetings. This is week 5, I believe, and has just slipped into that role seamlessly. So thank you, Christina, and we're very happy to have you here. And then lastly, I would be remiss if I did not let you know, if you don't already know, that Kathy Barsotti, after 30 years of service to the city, will be retiring in mid-December. So
Wow.
hopefully we'll see her again at the December meeting. But in case we didn't, you need to know that we are going to miss her so much.
You're my hero. I have foreign college. Retirement is not on the horizon.
Well, I might have some issues along those lines as well, but I'm still, I have a 10-year-old, and this will be a good time to spend some extra time with her as well. So it's
Yeah, I have
been
a
a pleasure, though,
question.
working with you all.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
North Pole Tavern.
Yes.
Does Santa have a beer garden, or what is this?
Yes, the North Pole, it's
Oh.
beer and wine. It's wine for sure. I'm not sure if we have any breweries. I believe as of the last time I checked, we had 6 wineries. And Vino Banditos, I don't know if you're familiar with that band. They will be playing out there in the square. And so you can come do a little wine tasting and,
That'll be interesting.
They usually have food and wine and some food trucks, some games, and the music. It's
And kids can come. I mean, it's just like Wine Down Wednesday, where we have children come in. Everyone who is drinking alcohol will have to show their ID, but kids can come, and there'll be activities for it's live music and wine, and it's the holidays. You'll be outdoors.
a lot of fun.
No.
Okay, any other staff reports? Okay, we'll move to the commission. Nick?
No.
Hear you.
Andre,
I
any?
can see your eyes, but
All right, Sandra?
No.
All right.
Nothing for me.
Hi, Roy?
I would just like to say thank you, because I've noticed they're going to resurface the trail around Maidu, and my wife especially is very happy with that. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
I have a quick question. Earlier, well, I guess it was last year, there was some grant funding that we had gone after relative to a couple parks. Have we heard anything about that?
We've had 2, the per capita, which is based on our population, we signed the contract about 2 weeks ago, and we're still waiting for the competitive grant. So I was just sharing with Jill this morning that there's about $4 million available citywide, and the requests for funding for that $4 million is in the billions. So it's a big sorting challenge for state parks right now.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I recently talked to Cedric Mitchell, who runs that program at state parks, and he said the fires this year in California really threw a monkey wrench into that entire program, and they're scrambling to get it done for everybody, and they're extending some time limits for people because they were out of their homes and their cities for a month.
Okay, so more to come on that then.
More to come. We're still keeping our
Excellent.
fingers crossed.
Yep. All right. Well, Kathy, congratulations, and
Thank you.
thank you for everything you've done. And then I've been really wanting to get out to the park openings, but soccer is thrown. Saturdays are dedicated to soccer now, but
We had free beer at the last one.
Yeah.
No, we didn't. On the record, say no, we didn't.
I saw, some eyes were opening over there.
It was a Noah's Bagels, though, one time.
Yeah. All right, well, if there's nothing else, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. We'll see you in December.
Thank you all.